Good morning. Well, actually, I guess it's approaching afternoon for most of the world. But yeah, I wanted to take a moment and talk about the Kickstarter, but also my love of books and kind of how all this came about. I have had, if you've watched the video on the Kickstarter, you know that I love fancy books. I love old books. I have shelves behind me of, you know, the nice gold on the edge, pretty books because I love them. If I'm going to read something, then I like reading it out of a pretty medium. And that goes back to my uncle and his massive library that definitely made an impression on me at an early age. But some of it also goes back to my own childhood. When I was in middle school, my dad actually was a student at Texas A&M University in College Station, and I used to spend my summers and school vacations, weekends, whenever he was up on campus in the TAMU library. The Texas A&M library is massive, if you weren't aware, and one of the areas that they at least had back then, I'm assuming they still have, was this tower area of the library that was called the stacks. And in the stacks, you could find some of the oldest books in their library. Most of the time, kids weren't allowed back there. But because I had befriended the librarian and they knew that I was careful with books, that I had a true love of books, they allowed me to go back there. And I used to pull out these old, dusty tomes that, you sneeze when you pull them out because no one's looked at them in ages. And I would just flip through them and see what they were about. Anything from old things on biology and medicine to old literature and poetry. I mean, just anything and everything. I was drawn to these old books and I was drawn to the idea of fancy books, or what I perceived in my child mind to be fancy books. And so when I decided to do this Kickstarter, I didn't feel necessarily that I needed to go quite so overboard with the gold edges, but I did want to do a special hardback. I did want to do something that, was a pretty book. And, so you've got your lovely wraparound cover, but if we take that off, you also have wraparound, if I can get this off of here, art by me. And this proof is actually not up to date. I have actually gone in and added more art, but there's art in here by me from all of the stories and characters. And, like I said, I've gone in and added more art, but there's a lot of pictures in here that go with these holiday themed short stories that I've written. And they're definitely speculative fiction. So you've got your sci fi, you've got your fantasy. Some of it's a little on the darker edge, but everything's about redemption. Everything's about, the idea of hope around the holidays. Just because this was my project that got me through the harder parts of long COVID that I had. And so this has special meaning to me, which is why I'm pushing it so much and why I'm also like, hey, go back my Kickstarter, because I really want this project to do well and to get into the hands of a lot of people, because I think a lot of us have been looking for, something to read that isn't the world is over. And I think, that seeing a lot of hope punk and things of that nature, genre wise, come into fruition. And I mean, it's always been there, but to see it become popular, I think it's showing how much we all have needed some of those enjoyable reads. There's a reason I think that, things like literature and lattes, or legends and lattes, sorry, is so popular right now. People want to read things that are a little more positive. And so you know, I want a pretty book for you guys, but I also want something that hopefully you read it, you think about it, you think about why I wrote those things, and you walk away with this idea that, we can salvage this, we can do this, and that, the holidays don't have to remind us of some of the hardships all the time. And so that's kind of my goal with this wonderful little collection. And I say little, but it's 246 pages, I think. I'd have to flip through and check, but it's a pretty thick book, and it is on high quality paper, so that all the art, it looks and feels like an art book with stories in it. Um, I've put the link in the Kickstarter so that you can back it and check it out and all that good stuff. We are actually only $47 away from our second stretch goal. So we have funded and then some. I would really love to get to that third stretch goal because it's a good one. But I wanted to at least tell you the story about Texas A&M. Like I said, I've in that Kickstarter video too, I just have this thing about old books and pretty books and the rich histories and stories and connections we can make with them. I know a lot of people love ebooks, and unfortunately, my eyes don't allow me to really do that. But there is still something about the physical medium for me, being able to smell the book, the paper, and the ink. There's memories attached to a lot of those feelings. It's a nostalgia factor that definitely kicks in for me. And so I just kind of wanted to share that with you. I'm hoping that some of you folks also have some of those feelings too, and understand what I'm talking about. I know most book lovers do. I'm not alone in my enjoyment of good books and pretty books and all those wonderful things. There's a reason that there's so many Pinterests on how to display your bookshelves and bookshelf envy. So I know I'm not alone on that front. But I hope you have a great Thursday. I just kind of wanted to go live for a moment and talk about that and talk about the Kickstarter a little. And hopefully, I'll see you again soon over on Kickstarter. Bye.